I'm here. I'm just needing to ask the technical. Oh, there we go. Okay. The recording. Somebody's saying, still collecting research. Still, I haven't written yet. Oh, that's it. That's you, Setu. Yeah, it's tough. Too much, yes. Okay, so the recording has started, I see. I don't know why it was a bit slow. And I see Aviwe is here too. Hello, Aviwe. How are you? Yeah. Hello.
Hello. I'm fine. Thanks, and you?
Good, thank you. How's the writing going? I see Pumza's also joined us. Pumza, how's the writing doing? How's the writing going with the essay? Remember, your essay is due on Friday, and ultimately you want to try to submit it before Friday or as early on Friday morning as possible to avoid the congestion and the delay in the uploading of the assignment, because that's what happens with the site. It becomes really slow, and then you desperately wanting to upload your assignment. It just takes a very long time to get there. Okay. All right. So we're just sort of checking in with one another to see how we're doing. And for those of you who have just joined us, I'm just going to repost the attendance register link. Please add your student number to the link, or in that document once you click on the link. Okay. I'm also going to post the WhatsApp chat link. It's quite interesting that people who have come to the session are asking questions afterwards. And it's a great way just to make sure that you've understood something, or sometimes the network is really not so great in your area where you live, and so you can't always ask the question, and so it's a nice space just to ask the question, or to get in touch with me so that I can give you some assistance and support as required. All right, so as people join, we'll acknowledge their arrival and post the register. So just make sure that your student number's been added to the register, and join the WhatsApp group if you haven't done so yet. I know some people have even said in the group that they're not able to join today because of work, and I am trying very hard to get the recordings, uploaded as quickly as possible. But they are large documents, and and they are data intensive. They really take a lot of data. So we're trying to find ways and means of uploading it without. And remember, staff is still working from home, so it really takes a lot of data. And if staff are working from home, they're using their personal devices, or not devices, but using the data that they normally would use for their personal use at home. And so we're trying to find ways and means of making sure that you, the students, have access to those recordings as quickly as possible. So you'll see the last recording will be, I think, I didn't check. I can just check quickly. I think it was the 10th, which was last week. So this week's, or it was last Thursday. I know I've been asking for Saturday's one to be uploaded. Okay, it's taking so long to load. All right, so let's get going and start talking about endings and beginnings and endings and everything in between. You're probably wondering, what is this woman on about? Well, I'm on about today, I'm going to be talking about aspects of academic writing that we often don't give much attention to, either because we don't know that these are really important documents or important parts um, of essay writing. But today I'm wanting to spend time on the introduction and the conclusion and everything that comes in between. And I'm struggling a little bit because I don't know why. I've just turned my camera off and I don't know why my presentation, there we go. The presentation isn't loading. Okay, so there we go. So let's get going. Let's just get through the usual slides. And unfortunately, for the people who have been here many times before, probably know this off by heart, but it's just, it's important that we go through these slides so that everybody's always aware. So the housekeeping, come in using the Teams app, microphone off, camera off, student number in the register, using the link in the chat. Use the chat to talk to me, to interact with me, ask questions, give me feedback. Technical issues, email ctntut@unisa.ac.za. Sessions are recorded. I have in previous sessions shown you how to get there. There's the link. And this is also the link that you would use to get to the sessions, to join the sessions. So I'm going to show you now how to do that, because I think Sept, you were struggling. So I think for your benefit, let me just show you how to get there. Without clicking on a link. So I'm going to share my desktop with you. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to click on that link, or you're going to log into my UNISA. And if you look at my screen here, you'll see you're going to log into my UNISA and go to sites. And then you're going to scroll down and look under projects and look for the Western Cape region. If you can't, if that doesn't appear anywhere on under your sites, then send an email to ctntut@unisa.ac.za, and then they will add you to the site. Another way to get there is to just copy and paste this link. And I'll just copy and paste it now and put it into the chat. So you can use that link. And you click on that link. You click on the link. And you'll go to the Writing Center immediately, and you will see events, workshops, and tutorial classes schedule. So you scroll down and you click on this little link here, open in new window. And you'll see a tab will open, a new tab will open, it's loading the schedule. And you see the join session here, you click on that button, and this is how you will get into whatever session it is you're wanting to go to. So the join button in the session on the schedule takes you straight into the meeting. Notes and recordings can be found there. Okay, and you'll see there are buttons for each of these sessions that will be running today, because they all have their own links into the session, and they all give access to whatever notes and recordings are available. So I'm hoping that everybody's now has a sense of how to get into the meeting. So let's go. So let's go back to the presentation. Okay. I hope that those of you who are here, that you've completed the evaluation forms. And again, it's a link that I will post at the end of the meeting. And we really appreciate that feedback because it tells us what we can do better, how we can do things differently so that you can have a better experience. We are unsure of what the future holds for student support with regards to teaching and learning. So we're always wanting to improve whatever it is, whatever service we're delivering here. The Writing Center, some of you have already sent me draft documents, and I've responded to those drafts. And so you email your draft in Word format to ctandtut@unisa.ac.za, and you copy me, and then I will have a look at it and give you feedback and comments. The WhatsApp group, I've already posted the link in the chat, and so it's a good place for you to connect with other students, but also just to connect with me after the session or in between sessions, because I post reminders there. I will respond to questions there in between the sessions, the live sessions. So for today, we're going to talk about the academic essay. We're going to talk about, I'm sorry, I apologize for this. We can talk about the introduction, body paragraphs, conclusions, and then we'll just touch on the reference list. I spoke about that at length yesterday, referencing, and then we'll talk about the next workshop. At this point in time, is there anyone with any burning question? And I'll just stop the presentation so that I can check questions in the chat. Please post any questions. That's fine, Amber. You can pick up the recording at a later stage. It's important, though, that you make sure that your introduction and your conclusion comply with the academic writing requirements. So let's hope that I can cover enough of that for you before you leave. That's all right. Okay, so any comments, any questions at this stage? Any questions, comments about where you are at the moment? Wherever you are at in the process of your essay writing. Do you have any comments or questions that you'd like me to address now?
Hi.
Hello, Pumza, go ahead.
On my side, I was busy with procedures. I was about to start e-findings.
Okay, Pumza, I think you're in the wrong session, my dear.
Oh.
Yeah, this is academic writing, not business writing. We're having a session. We'll be having a session on Thursday.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
I wondered. Okay, I thought, okay, maybe this is a different Pumza. It's okay, Pumza. I'll see you Thursday. Okay. So, comments or questions from your side? None? Everybody good to go? Thumbs up? Something? Okay. Sesetu, Amber saying she's fine. Sesetu, Aviwe, do you have any specific questions that you want to ask now before we get going?
No, I'm good.
Okay, Sesetu. Aviwe, anything from your side? Okay, I'm going to move on. Aviwe, if you can think of anything, post it in the meeting chat, okay? Okay. So as we were talking yesterday, we were talking about scholarship. And in this essay, you are having to demonstrate the ways in which you are adapting and adjusting your way of writing an essay to align with the ways of the academy. So you've got to read in a very particular way. You have to write in a very particular way as you are learning, as you go through this process of writing this essay. There are certain values that you need to take on, and one of those values, as we discussed yesterday, is integrity, academic integrity. And it comes down to what academic integrity is all about, is that we acknowledge other people's ideas in our writing. And it's really important that we do that correctly, and in the particular referencing style as required by the academy. And so yesterday was all about that. So today what we're going to do is we're going to look at the academic essay structure, and we'll look at the introduction, the various parts of the academic essay, and we'll look at that a little bit in detail. And we're going to also look at how we use specific vocabulary to indicate, to signal that structure, how we don't use headings in our academic essays, especially short ones like you are writing at the moment. A 500-word essay in academic writing is or in the academy is a really short essay. As you progress academically in the you go from first year, second year, third year, postgrad, you'll find that the essay length is also going to become bigger, or is going to be, the essays that you have to write can become longer. I'm at postgraduate level and my essays are 3,500 words. I have to write a 6,000-word essay by the end of November. And the next year when I do my research report, I will have to write, I think it's about 20,000 words. So, and that's at master's level. You are at the beginning, you're beginner academic writers, so you're writing a 500-word essay. However, having said that, 500 words to a beginner academic writer it's overwhelming, because you're not sure how you're going to reach those 500 words. And this is new to you, but you will, and I promise you, you may even find yourself in a position where you have too many words. Now, I want to caution you with regards to exceeding the number of words. It is really, really important, particularly for this module, that you keep to the 500 words or less. Don't exceed the 500 words. If you're writing 490 words, that's fine. If you're writing 520 words, that's okay, but nothing more than 520. Do not exceed your word count. And your word count includes your in-text citations. I'm going to say that again. Your word count includes your in-text citations. So I'm going to show you an example. So I'm going to show you this example of an essay that I've written. Now, you don't have to worry about what I've written. I'm wanting to show you word count. Okay? So let's just go to... Okay, so yesterday I showed you an extract from this essay, and it started with this. I don't know if you recall. Now, what I want you to do is, over here at the bottom, it says 1,157 words. Okay, so in this document, I have 1,157 words, but that includes my in-text referencing and my reference list. So I can't remember how many words I had to write for this essay, but what I want to do is I want to show you how your in-text referencing this counts as one word, okay? The date counts as one word. Badat 2010 counts as 2 words. And pay attention to where I am showing you, where I'm pointing, putting my cursor. If you're typing your assignment, it helps you with your word count. So, if I were to highlight this whole paragraph here, or these sentences here, okay? That paragraph consists of 232 words, and the 232 words is including this, my in-text referencing. Okay, so please, your 500 words includes your in-text referencing, but excludes your reference list. Okay, so if I were to look at how many words this is, my reference list, it's 149 words. So if I subtract 1157, if I subtract 149 from 1157, my essay is just over 1,000 words. Okay, so you have to pay careful attention to your word count. And why I am saying this over and over and over again is what happens is if your essay exceeds the 500 words or 520, they give you a little bit of grace, with regards to your word count. If your essay exceeds your 500 words, your markers, they do a very quick sort of estimate of where your 500 words are, right? So it's about a typed page, one typed page, in, I think it might be 12, font size 12. So let's have a look at how many words this is. Okay, it's 412 words, okay? And I'm using font size 12 Times New Roman. And I'm also using, 1.5 line spacing in my formatting. So it's 500 words typed is roughly one typed page. So can you see, if you're going to exceed one typed page and you're going to go on to 2 typed pages, they are going to ignore the second page. They will mark as far as there, okay? And if there is no conclusion at that point of the essay, then they will penalize you for that because you haven't adhered to the instructions. So I can't make that more clear to you that it's really, really important that you keep to the word count. So let's go back to the essay structure. So as I was talking about introductions, bodies, conclusions, I'm going to show you a short video now on the academic. Oh, wait, before we get to the video, let's do this. So here's another graphic of what your body is going to look like. Now, your body is not going to be as depicted by this big block here. It's going to consist of a number of body paragraphs. And in the previous slide, I had 3 body paragraphs. And this makes sense because, for your cause and effect essay, you're going to have 3 negative effects. All right. If you're chosen the question 2, which is the argumentative essay or the persuasive essay, where you must persuade someone to be convinced why the police needs to be visible on the school premises as a way to curb violence in the school, or if you're going to go the other way, you're going to need about roughly 3 ideas, or maybe even 2 would be adequate. So these body paragraphs must be 1 main point per paragraph, supported by citations. So I want to spend time looking at specifically your introduction and your conclusion, because The fact that a paragraph is the first paragraph in a series of paragraphs does not necessarily mean that it is an introduction. An introduction is written in a very particular way. So I'd like to show this to you now. So we call this, your introduction must be designed and thought of as a funnel, okay? Where you start out big and then you narrow down at the end of your introduction. That last sentence in your introduction must be the focus of your essay. So you start broad, you start general, and then you come down to the focus of your essay. Now, if you think about what the focus of your essay is, if you're going with number 1, your focus of the essay is going to be the negative effects of using drugs on mood or behavior syndromes. If you're looking at number 2, it is why are you saying that the police mustn't be present on the school grounds? Why that police presence isn't going to, in fact, curb violence on the school grounds? Or if you're going to go the other way, why you believe the presence of the police is crucial to curbing violence on the school premises. So you're going to have a couple of reasons why you're saying what you're saying, and that's the focus of your essay. So I want to show you something again. Of what happens when you don't have an introduction in your essay. Now, this is a sample of a student a couple of years ago who wrote an essay, and yesterday I spoke about those essays where they had to write about the factors contributing to child abandonment. And this is a marked essay that a student a couple of years ago sent to me and asked me, why did I get such a bad mark? And please explain to me what the marker meant. Now remember, this is I'm showing you this. The identity of the student has been hidden, and this is what's happened with this student, because this student, the essay did not have an introduction. Then secondly, there were a couple of grammatical errors, but ultimately this student misunderstood the question. The kind of abandonment the student was talking about was a different type of abandonment in comparison to what the abandonment that they were supposed to discuss. And as a result of that, the student did not achieve good marks. Okay, and look at where the student was penalized. They were penalized in the content, but it wasn't only penalized in the content because they sort of missed the point of the essay, all right, but it was also because the student didn't have an introduction. Okay, so it's really important that you pay attention to the requirements of an academic essay in terms of its parts. So if we have a look at this, so let's talk about what does an academic essay's introduction consist of. Now, in the PowerPoint presentation, I had 3 aspects there. So if we look at what your introduction must consist of, it needs to consist of the following. And here I just typed up some things in a Word document for you. And please feel free to use these sample sentences that I have in green and in yellow. Okay, you might want to take a screenshot of this or a photo if it does come out. I'll try to make it bigger so that it's bigger for you on the screen. Okay, or just scribble it down on a piece of paper very quickly. So in your introduction, you can have in a 500-word essay, your introduction can consist of 3 sentences, nothing more. Okay, your first sentence is going to give some background information to give the reader some context for the discussion. So for question 1, you can say something very general about the use, or you can say something very general about mood or behavior syndromes and drugs being used to deal with the symptoms of these syndromes. Then in your second sentence, you are going to state very clearly what your essay will argue. Now here I am using the word argue not as, I'm using the word argue as a writing technique, to refer to writing as a technique, because in question 1 you are going to use argument as a technique of writing, using specifically the effects of using drugs. Okay, so your argument is going to comprise of a discussion on the negative effects of using drugs. So this sentence here can start off with something like, this essay explores the negative effects of using drugs for mood or behavior syndromes, and it is acceptable for you to use the words from the question. Okay, alternatively, you could, if you're going with number 2, you could say something like, in this essay, I will argue for the visible presence of police as one measure of curbing the scourge of violence. Okay, or instead of that, you could say, I will argue for the visible presence of schools, presence of police, to address, okay, the scourge. Take away one measure, that use instead to address the scourge or to deal with the scourge of violence in schools. So do you see how I'm using the question in order to help me write my introduction? All right. Your third sentence is going to be an outline. It's going to indicate the main ideas that will be discussed in the essay so that the reader knows what to expect. So that sentence will start with, if you're talking about the negative effects, this essay will consider, or you could use the word review, or you can use the word discuss, negative effects such as, and you can name the 3 effects, and that's where you end your introduction. Okay. If you're writing about the violence in schools and the visible, and let's say you're going to argue against, in this essay, I will argue against the visible presence of police to deal with the scourge of violence in schools. Then your final sentences will say, you will say, firstly, I will deal with blah, 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 blah. Okay, the first reason. Secondly, I will address, etc., which is your second reason. And finally, if you've got 3, okay. So if you have 3, you could do that. If you've got 4, you can do that. Okay. And that's how you will end your introduction. Do you have any questions at this point? Is this making sense? Amber, yes? You have a question?
Hi, Len. I'm just
back on the part where you mentioned about how your body should look with your 3 paragraphs.
Yes.
In our podcast,
Yes.
it was said that we should discuss the cause of the mood and behavior syndrome and the medication used for that, whichever one you choose, obviously. So, do we incorporate that in our first paragraph of our body?
Yes.
So, for example, the first paragraph in my body would be the cause of the mood or behavior syndrome I chose, the medication used, and the first negative effect.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And then your second body paragraph, you can just then discuss the second negative effect. You don't have to mention the mood disorder in detail again.
Yes.
Neither the drug again, because you've already mentioned it. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Any questions on the introduction and the format of your introduction? The way you put it together like puzzle pieces. Is it clear? You can just give me a thumbs up in the chat, or you can unmute your mic. Yes, thanks, Sept. Okay. Okay, thanks, Amber. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you another. I mean, I can go, but I'm going to show you another example, because it's the easiest way for me to make it clear to you. This document's disappeared. There we go. Okay, let's see if it'll appear in my sheet right now. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to take you back to one of my own assignments, and I want you to just look at the introduction. Okay, bearing in mind what I've explained the introduction to consist of. Now, this is a very short introduction. It consists of 4 sentences in this case, but I'm going to break it down for you so that you can see the parts of the introduction. So in this first sentence, I'm giving some kind of context and background to and I'll separate the sentences out. In this is an essay on teaching in the South African higher education context. And so I just give a very broad general statement about the South African higher education context. Then I go into that second part of the essay, or rather of the introduction, where I'm going to identify what the essay is going to explore. So it says, this essay considers the purposes, okay, of higher education in the context of the University of South Africa, an open distance e-learning university where I am a tutor. So in blue here, that's the first thing that I'm going to be talking about in the essay. Then the next sentence says the prevalent discourses in this context are presented, followed by a discussion on how these discourses influence my teaching. I will also discuss with examples how I respond to my teaching context to engage meaningfully with my students. So my essay is going to consist of 3 sections or 3 sections. Okay, so you'll see here, this bit in blue is this section in blue on the screen now, followed by the bit in green, the prevalent discourses and that discussion which is all in green, okay? And then if you look at the bit in pink, how I respond to my teaching context to engage meaningfully with my students is in pink, okay? Now you'll see here how I'm repeating words from my introduction, okay? In my introduction, I said how I respond to my teaching context. And you're probably thinking, but how can you repeat words like that? It's okay for you to repeat words because if you look at how far away that section is from the actual section, okay, you'll see it's all right. It's acceptable for me to do that because I'm using vocabulary, I'm using writing to signal to my reader where I am now going with my writing. So you too need to do the same in your writing. And there is the conclusion. And we'll come back to the conclusion later on. I just wanting to show you how you need to lay out your introduction very carefully, very deliberately. Every single sentence serves a purpose, and every sentence needs to link to a body paragraph or your body paragraphs in your body essay. Oh, sorry, the essay of your body. Oh, goodness me. All right. Comments, questions about the introduction? Okay. All good for now. Great. Okay. All right. I think I'm going to show you a video on the essay structure. I just need to get it into my share tray. Amber, you have your hand raised. Go ahead with a question.
Yes, just one quick question.
Sure.
When in our essay, so we're busy typing it, when we finish, do we have to label like the introduction or body or conclusion, like introduction? Then you
No
say,
heading.
okay.
No headings. So like
Okay,
that
thank
essay
you.
of mine that I just showed you, and you'll find that the sample student essays that I've shown you, there are no
Yes.
introduction. No headings.
No heading.
No
Okay.
headings. Okay.
Thank
It's
you.
only, you're welcome. It's only when you get to writing much longer essays, like I was telling you about my 20,000 word essay that's waiting for me next year in my future, and my 6,000 word essay that's waiting for me further down the line this year in my future.
Yes.
It's only when it gets to really long essays like that that you need headings to help the reader, get an idea of the structure. But for a 500 word essay, no. Okay, you won't need. And that's why it is so important that your introduction is written in the way that I'm showing you how to write it.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome. Okay, so I found this little video. It's 7 minutes long. And watch the video, and then if there are any questions, then we can discuss them, and then we'll continue with the presentation. I just need to get the video into my share tray. Go.
Welcome to this tutorial on structuring your essay, University of Reading Study Advice. The tutorial is designed for you to go through at your own pace, and you can pause it at any time. Structuring is one aspect of essay writing that often features in markers' comments. A structure that's easier to follow, has a stronger argument and clearer paragraphs will all get better marks. But how do you make sure that this happens? This tutorial will show you how to create an effective structure by looking at identifying your main message, using planning to help order your points, the role of introductions and conclusions, signposting, and clear paragraphing. So identifying your main message. A good flexible model for an essay structure is to think of your essay like a river. Your essay goes from your start point or introduction to your destination or conclusion, with your main message in answer to the question running throughout like the body of the river. Then you have your paragraphs, which act like the streams of the river. They all make different points, but these points feed in and contribute to the overall message and move you further along to where you're trying to get to, your conclusion. What you're trying to avoid is having lots of good individual points, but no clear direction for where they're headed. This confuses your reader and means they'll lack confidence in your structure. Planning can help identify your main message and find an order for the points that you want to make. Now, we probably all know somebody like Perfectly Planned Polly, who has the incredibly detailed and neat plans. And we equally know somebody like Jumpin' Justin at the other extreme, who just starts writing straight away. Being somewhere in between these extremes is usually a good idea. There's no right or wrong way to plan your essay, but the act of planning itself is useful for developing a strong structure because it enables you to do some of the higher level thinking and identify what you want to write about before trying to express it in your individual sentences. Planning also helps you group similar ideas together so that you avoid repetition in your structure. It helps you cut out any irrelevant points that would distract from your main message. It enables you to find a logical order to put your points in. And importantly, it helps you identify that main message that runs throughout your essay like the river. Some people like to identify their main message first and then make their plan based on this. But other people find that their main message will only emerge once they've thought of their individual points. Whichever way works best for you is absolutely fine. So how might this look in practice? Here's an example essay question. Now, you may have lots of different ideas from your own thoughts and wider reading. Note these all down, and then your planning process enables you to group similar ideas together and cut out any irrelevant points. As part of your planning, identify your main message that will provide the body of your river in answer to your question. Note down your introduction to help you start on the journey, and find a logical order to put your points in to help move your reader along the journey. People often get worried about the idea of a logical order for the points. There's no mystery to this. It just means a sensible order that takes your reader through step by step. Just think about what they need to know first, what they might need to know next, and then next. Students often find it difficult to know how to start and end their essays because they're not sure of the role that introductions and conclusions play. A good way of thinking of your introduction is like a roadmap. You wouldn't start on a journey without knowing where you are headed. An introduction often contains a what, a why, and a how. You'll explain what your essay question is about and show how you understand and interpret it. You briefly indicate why the question is important. This involves putting it in context and looking at what might be disputed, interesting, or why we should care about the issues in the question. Then you show how you're going to answer the question, and this means your reader knows what's coming. It involves some of the signposting that we'll look at in the next section of this tutorial. So if your introduction is like your roadmap, then your conclusion is like the snapshot that you take to remember your journey. It summarizes your key points, but it's more than just a basic summary because the conclusion provides your final answer to your question that hopefully all your points have been contributing to. Now to move on to signposting. A key aspect of having a good structure is letting your reader know what this structure is, so they can easily follow it in your essay and give you credit for it. Signposting simply means letting your reader know what you're covering in the order that you cover it. So you might use phrases like these in your introduction. And you might use phrases like these to provide links between changes in different themes or sections in your essay. Your essay doesn't have to have a beautifully linked and flowing structure.
So I'm going to pause it there, because these are really nice sentences for you to use in your academic writing. So I'll give you some time just to jot them down or to do a screenshot quickly, and then just tell me when I can. Just give me a thumbs up to tell me if I can start the video again. These are really great sort of sample or template type sentences that you can use in your academic writing. So can I continue? Have you managed to do a screenshot or write down these beginnings of sentences? Okay, thank you. So here we go.
It just needs a functional structure that the reader is aware of and that they can follow. A good structure is supported by clear paragraphs. These are the streams of the river, and each paragraph deals with a different point. You introduce the point first, provide evidence to support it, interpret the evidence to show how it supports the point, and then link that point back to your overall message. Each paragraph acts as a unit of sense, and when you move on to a different idea, you show this by starting a new paragraph. Now, from this example, you can see, without even having to read the text, that there is a lot of text in one big block. This probably indicates that there are too many ideas put together at once, and it would work better if this was divided into separate paragraphs. You can pause this tutorial to read the example in more detail to see why this is. So to recap, for an effective essay structure, identify your main message that forms the body of the river. Use planning to help order your points, like the streams flowing into the river. Think of your introduction as your roadmap and your conclusion as the snapshot of the journey. Use signposting to make your structure clear to your reader, and have one main point per paragraph. And if you do this, you will have a solid essay structure to support your ideas.
Okay. Did you find that useful? What are you going to take from that video that you've just seen? What stood out for you the most from that video that you may be struggling with at the moment before you submit? The river, yes. So it's the river would be the main idea that flows through your essay. Okay. So on that then, are you both doing the question one? So Setu, are you also doing question one? And Amber, you doing question one, I'm assuming from your question. Okay, so then let's ask you then, what is the river that's flowing through that question? What's the main idea that needs to be present in that question, in your essay? So, Sesethu, you're saying the effects of drugs, but you need to be more specific than that. Yeah. Amber, I see your comment. I'm saying, Sesethu, you've said the effects of drugs, you think, is the main idea that is going to be like this river flowing through your entire essay. But I think you need to be more absolutely, it's the negative effects of drugs, okay, on a mood or behavior disorder. And that's the main idea that has to flow through your entire essay in the body paragraphs. That is, yeah. For Amber, you're saying what stood out for you is that you have to stick more to the main ideas and try and avoid adding unnecessary information. Absolutely, yes. Often, as novice academic writers, we want to, because we, freaked out by this word count of 500 words, we think that we're going to not have enough information. But in actual fact, we often find that we do. And we sometimes have too much. And often we have too much information. And that occurs, that too much information occurs when we've been, what we call it padding. When we pad and we just add, and then often it's unnecessary information and it's irrelevant to the main idea of the essay. So that main idea of the essay, okay, Amber, you have to cut and edit your essay. You have to cut because I went way over the word count and I haven't even finished my essay. Chances are that you're saying too much. Okay? Remember, you have to stick to 3 negative effects. Only 3. So what you're going to do in your first body paragraph is, if you're going to use the suggestion as from the video, is you're going to talk about what is the effect, and you're going to start that body paragraph with something like, the first negative effect of using drugs for mood, or of using whatever the drug is you've mentioned earlier for whatever the mood disorder or mood syndrome or behavior syndrome you've referred to earlier. That's going to be your first sentence, and you're going to name the negative effect. All right. Oh dear. Oh goodness, Amber, oh yeah, okay. You accidentally read that you needed more than 500 words. Oh my goodness me. Yes. You got mixed up with your other son, yeah? It happens, especially when you're busy with multiple assignments. It can happen. But you still have time, fortunately. And thank goodness you getting this part of the session today. So now you know you've got to go back and edit and cut out. So to come back to your body paragraph, all right? Okay. Yes, okay, you actually started, that's brilliant, okay? So then in that body paragraph, you're going to, and Saseta, I hope you're making notes here, girl. Because this is how you were saying you haven't started writing yet. All right. So even if you've just got the first topic sentence of your first body paragraph, then you're on your way. Your notebook is full. Find another one. Okay, great. You're making notes. Find another notebook quickly. So you're going to say the first negative effect of using X, whatever the X being the drug, for Y being the mood and whatever is, okay, whatever. You're going to name the effect. Then that second sentence must be evidence that you found in the research you did. So you're going to say something like, according to blah, 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 whatever the researcher's name is, and the year in brackets, comma, wada. And then it's going to be the paraphrase of what you found in your evidence to describe that negative effect, to tell you as supporting evidence for that effect that you named in sentence 1. Your next sentence is going to be, this means that. Then you're going to explain the evidence. Okay. Then you're going to have a fourth sentence that's maybe going to be what we call a transition sentence to link your first body paragraph to your second body paragraph. So you can say something like, however, whatever the negative effect is that you're mentioning in that paragraph, you say, however, the negative effect or say it's insomnia. However, insomnia is not the only negative effect of using whatever drug it is you're talking about for whatever syndrome you're talking about. Then your second body paragraph is going to start with the second negative effect of using X for Y is blah, blah, blah. Okay. Research has shown that, or studies have shown that, and then you're going to paraphrase whatever study you read, okay? And then you're going to put the in-text citation at the end of that sentence. Then you're going to explain all of that. Is this helping? Is this making sense, what I'm talking about? This body paragraph? These body paragraphs I'm talking about? Yeah? Okay. All right. Excellent. So what I'm trying to explain is how you need to deliberately put together sentence by sentence by sentence. Remember, it's almost, you're going to be having, your essay is going to be read by someone who is going to enter into, quote unquote, a conversation with you. And they must be reading your essay and going, oh, okay, there's a cause there. Yeah, okay, this makes sense. All right, okay, now we're going on to this cause. Yeah, okay, this is supposed to be about negative. Oh, another negative. Oh, here's evidence of that. That's what they must be thinking as they're marking your essay. And you, by using very specific ways of expressing your ideas, using academic writing techniques as you are being taught through this module, they will admire your writing and they will say, this was very easy to read. I got it the first time. Remember, on page 16 in your tutorial letter, it says, your essay should demonstrate the conventions about essay structure and layout that you've learned. Okay? You must have proper paragraphing, proper cohesion and logical organization of information, correct sentence structure, and referencing. And all of what I'm talking about today talks to all of those things. So I'm going to go back to my presentation so you can just see it in writing and how it looks. Okay? So I've got a slide here. Okay, we'll come back to using signpost words. So have a look at this slide. It says, and this essay was about private firearm ownership, should it be banned or not? Okay, so this was a persuasive, argumentative essay. And so this person decided that they felt that it should not be banned. And here's their first reason. And they use the word firstly. Private firearm ownership should not be banned because, and here's the reason. Okay, in keeping with the Bill of Rights, section 12(1)(c). So they're quoting something from the Constitution. So the rest of this paragraph could include a sentence that paraphrases or quotes the relevant sections of the bill. It can also include an example that describes how the bill was applied in a legal case, or it can relate anecdotal information. Anecdotal information would be a little story. You don't have the space for anecdote. You can't use anecdotal information in your essay, and I don't want to waste time explaining to you what anecdotal information is, but I want you to remember this term, anecdotal information, because you are going to use anecdotal information in the exam when you have to write an essay. Okay, so each sentence of this paragraph must support the argument. So another way that you can write exactly the same thing is to say the first reason. Okay, we're saying exactly the same thing, and then the first reason private firearm ownership should not be banned is that every citizen has a right to self-defense, according to the Bill of Rights, Section 12(1)(c), and then you can quote and then carry on as I explained earlier. Okay, so I'm hoping that you're seeing how you will use that, how you can use that evidence. Let's have a look at that example essay of yesterday, the same essay of yesterday, where the student wrote about the child abandonment. Okay, so if we were to look at this student's introduction, let's just recap the introduction. So the topic is about child abandonment. That's what the essay, the main idea about child abandonment, or rather the river. Okay, so the river that must flow through this whole essay is the factors that contribute to child abandonment. That's the main idea that has to flow through the essay. So in this essay, this student has decided to say something very general. They make a very broad, general statement to introduce the topic of the issue of child abandonment. They then quote two definitions, all right, from Sechetti and Toth and Abbas, in quotation marks, just to make sure. And if you're going to define anything, now for your cause and effect essay, you won't need to provide definitions. They wouldn't be appropriate because there aren't any terms in your cause and effect, in your effect, cause and effect type essay that you're writing, even though you're focusing on the effects only. You wouldn't need to provide definitions of terms because you wouldn't be using terms that need to be explained at the beginning of your essay. So, but this student decided to do that. Then this is the thesis statement, which is the main idea that flows throughout the essay. So remember you spoke about the river, all right? So what is the river that's flowing, that must be seen to flow throughout your essay in this question number 1? It is the negative effects of using drugs for mood or behavior syndromes. That is the thesis of the essay, the main idea of the essay. And you have to state that in your introduction. So this student just said, this discussion settles on 5 factors that have been identified in South Africa and other parts of the world contributing to child abandonment. Now, instead of saying just 5 factors, because the student just summarized it here, and that's acceptable, because every body paragraph that came after that was an expansion, an elaboration of these 5 factors. You are only writing about 3 negative effects. So you can name the 3 negative effects in your introduction if you want to. Okay? Alternatively, you too can just summarize it in your thesis statement. You could say, this discussion will deal with the three negative effects of using drugs for mood or behavior syndromes. So, the first factor is poverty, and look, it is named up front. So instead of saying the first factor or the first negative effect, or you could say one of the negative effects of using drugs for mood or behavior is whatever. But you can simply say it up front. Insomnia has been found to be a negative effect of using X for Y. Okay, like this student has done here. Name the factor up front. Poverty has been related to child abandonment. And then the student goes off to talk about a study being done on child abandonment in Lesotho. Now, this student did a very good job of looking at child abandonment, the causes of child abandonment, in South Africa and other parts of the world. And now this is just interesting. I've just realized something now. Remember in your topic, sorry, on page 16 in your tutorial letter, it says this is a cause and effect essay. Okay? You only have to write about the effects. And when I discussed in the general idea of a cause and effect essay, I spoke about how you sometimes are required to write about causes and effects, or sometimes you only have to write about the causes, or sometimes you only write about the effects. Now, in this instance here, this essay was a causes only essay. These students had to write about what are the reasons for child abandonment in South Africa and other parts of the world. So this whole essay is all about what gives rise to child abandonment? What are the causes of child abandonment? What are the reasons for child abandonment? The issue of child abandonment. So for this student, it was poverty. Then they went and look how the student repeats themselves. Child abandonment has also been associated with parenting practices. Okay? And pay attention to where this sentence is placed. This is the topic sentence of the body paragraph. It is the first sentence in the body paragraph. So it makes it very easy for the reader to identify and to make sense of your essay because the structure is so clear. Has somebody made a comment? Okay, all right. So Susetu, the understanding is coming. Yes. Okay. Yes. So yes, for this essay, you would use the block structure, and the block structure being where you're writing only about the effects. Okay. No causes. Then parenting practices was the second one. The rise of HIV/AIDS pandemic was the third. Legal frameworks in some countries have also been blamed for child abandonment or perpetuating the issue of child abandonment. And then finally, domestic abuse. Okay, so what I'm trying to point out to you here is the structure of the student's essay helps the way in which this person has put together the ideas very carefully, deliberately, almost as if they are constructing something that has to stand. Okay, and ultimately what has to stand is what you are putting forward as your exploration must stand. your exploration of the negative effects of using drugs for mood or behavior syndromes. That must be able to stand as an argument. Okay. And most certainly, this student's essay on the factors contributing to child abandonment certainly meets the criteria of an argument that can stand, because the way in which the ideas have been put forward have been done so well, naming what the issue is, okay? The use of academically valid sources of information, explaining that information clearly and carefully. All right. Any more comments or questions? Amber, sorry, I didn't see your hand was up. I apologize.
It's okay. Just one quick question on the word count. Do we just include our essay and not our reference list in the word count?
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
So just to explain again, your word count includes your in-text citations. As I showed you in that example earlier, that Word document I showed you. However,
Yes.
your 500 words excludes your reference list.
Okay.
Okay, so this is
Thank
why,
you.
Amber, I think you're going to have to go back and do some serious pruning. And
No,
get
I have done my pruning. I've got
Oh,
it in my
have
word
you?
count to
Yes.
yes. So
Okay.
I just wanted to know about I know that the in-text you have to include in your word count, but the reference list is
Because
fine.
yes, the reference list is not part of it now.
Yes.
Okay, great question. All right. Setu, do you have any questions at this point? Are you making notes? Okay, all right. Any other comments at this stage? So let me then, while you're thinking, let me then go to conclusion. All right. What is a conclusion? Okay, so to go back to this idea of using and what we if I just go back a couple of slides here. Okay, so what we're talking about here, words like firstly, secondly, or the first reason, or the first negative effect, or as you saw in that video where I said to you, take those expressions down. We call those signpost or transition words. And what those words do is they create flow in your writing. They connect the ideas of your body paragraph back to your introduction, and they help the reader follow your train of thought. Remember, this is you. Remember when we go back to, I explained to you a couple of sessions ago and every session thereafter almost, about why you write at university. This is you having to demonstrate and show your in a way that is show offy, okay, if that's a word, to show off to your marker that you can put forward ideas in a way that can be taken, that can be considered. All right, you're writing to impress them, and so one of the ways in which you impress them is to have a really tight structure, okay, but also to use signpost or transition words such as firstly, or the first reason, or secondly, all right, or the second reason, or the second negative effect, all right, of using X for Y. And I'm saying X for Y because I don't know what you've chosen, which drug you've chosen for which syndrome. So now you've gotten your body all sorted, okay? And now it gets to the last paragraph. But now it's not like school, you know, where you suddenly woke up and it was like the person said, oh, you've got 10 minutes left. And oh, quickly I've got to just, or you got 5 minutes left. And then you realize, oh, I haven't finished. I better just end it quickly. This is not the kind, this is not the place where you're going to say, and then I woke up and it was a dream. You can't do that, all right? And if you're just going to leave it hanging in the air, you're not summarizing your main points. You're not wrapping up your ideas in such a way as to really underline the point you're making. And that's what you want to do in your conclusion. So again, the best way to show you how to do this is to refer you to actual examples. So in your textbook, if you have the prescribed textbook, there are a number of ways in which that you can use to end off an essay, and you will find these techniques on page page 45. Oh, sorry, page 40. Yeah, page 45 and 46 on your of your prescribed textbook, and there you will find, and hence my my reference here at the bottom of the slide, because I found this information in your textbook. So one way in which you can end off your discussion, your exploration of negative effects of using drugs to deal with mood syndromes or behavior syndromes, is to predict something, okay? Or you could suggest, or another technique is to suggest something. So when you're predicting something, you're forecasting what would happen, what could happen if these things, all right? So for example, you could end off with words like, in conclusion. That is a signpost, that is a signal, that is a transition expression to the reader, telling them, I'm coming to the end. I've gotten to the end. I'm concluding now. All right? So I know it sounds really obvious, but it's good academic writing when you do that. So feel free to use the words in conclusion to signal that you are now going to conclude your discussion of the negative effects of using drugs on mood syndromes or behavior syndromes. So you could then go and predict what could happen. And this means you can restate the 3 negative effects, okay, that you referred to in your body. So in conclusion, from the above discussion or exploration of the negative effects of blah, 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 it is possible that and then predict something, but it must obviously be related. Or you could make a suggestion. You could say, in conclusion, it is clear, or based on the discussion of the on the above discussion on the negative effects of, or you could say, but in conclusion, it is clear that from the above, it is clear that insomnia, loss of appetite, and anxiety, for example, are negative, come about because of the use of this drug, and has a negative effect on the individual taking it. It would be important, therefore, for a health a medical expert or a doctor or a psychiatrist or a psychologist to monitor the use of the drug over the period of time that the person is experiencing that syndrome. Do you see the suggestion there? Okay. Or you can use a quotation that you maybe came across, or you could use a call to action. So a call to action would be, in this instance, you could say that more research needs to be done, that this particular drug maybe is not maybe good for people suffering with this, based on what you've discussed in your essay. And so it is really important that more research be done on drugs of this nature for people who suffer with that. Does that make sense? Amber, you have your hand up again?
Yes, just a quick question. It actually, oh my word, it actually slipped my mind now.
It's
I'm
all
trying
right. It's
to
fine.
just figure out what I was gonna ask.
I'm sorry, I never saw your hand
No,
earlier.
it's okay.
When it comes back to you, then just unmute your microphone and then ask the question.
Oh, that's
Okay.
it came back to me.
Okay.
If you say, for example, you're busy with your essay now, and so you're paraphrasing 3 different sentences from the same journal or from the same person.
Yes.
Do you cite them after all 3 or after each sentence that you paraphrased?
You could do it after all 3.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay then.
All right. Was that the unit? Okay. All right. Okay.
Thank
So
you.
you're welcome. All right. So let me show you an example then of a conclusion. Let's go back to the student writing that model essay that we had. Okay. So here you can see this student provides a summary of the 5 factors discussed, and the last sentence makes a suggestion on how to deal with child abandonment. Okay, so let's just read this example. It says, from this discussion, it is clear, and here comes the summary, it is clear that child abandonment is a result of a multiplicity of factors which need a holistic approach if this problem is to be properly managed. So, a result of a multiplicity of factors. Multiple factors is summarizing the 5 factors discussed in the body. And here comes the suggestion. These factors suggest the need for revisiting current child care mechanisms in order for child abandonment to be dealt with. So do you see here how this student, in 2 sentences, concludes the discussion on the factors contributing to child abandonment in South Africa and in other parts of the world. And their last sentence is a suggestion on how to deal with child abandonment. Now you can do the same thing. Okay? You can make a suggestion based on what you've read on how these negative effects could be dealt with. Does that help? In 2 sentences, you could sum up your essay. Amber, is your hand still up?
Oh, no, sorry, forgot to take it away.
Okay, all right. Okay. Okay, so Setu, are you still following, making notes furiously? Okay. All right. Just a recap on referencing, making sure that you are referencing in text and your reference list. So just to show you again how the Harvard style referencing looks in reality. And this was still coming from that example that I had earlier on in the presentation. So where you incorporate your in-text citations. And I discussed this at length yesterday. Let me know if you want me to go back to that example of yesterday. I'll be happy to do it and just talk you through it again. But let's just look here. So in this body paragraph, I have used Harvard-style referencing in text. Okay. Now, this was just, I thumb-sucked this. It was just, I made it up. Even these statistics I invented. So these, this paragraph says, secondly, the current state of lawlessness means that citizens cannot trust the police, full stop. Criminals are not often brought to justice. Thus, citizens often do not report crimes. Recent statistical studies show that 1 in 10 persons is a victim of crime. And that was from Isaacs in 2012 and page 113. Only 3% of the crimes reported to the police lead to the arrest of perpetrators, and only 1% of these are successfully prosecuted. And that was found in Isaacs and Benjamin 2014 on those pages. Pay attention to the punctuation. You put your in text before your full stop. Comments, questions from anyone? I'm hearing someone. Okay. So same paragraph, except this time around, what I've done is I have incorporated the in-text citation into the sentence. Okay, made it part of my sentence. So here, instead of saying 1 in 10 persons, blah, 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 and putting it at the end, like I did there, what I'm doing here is I'm incorporating it into my sentence. So according to Isaacs, 2012, page 113, comma, 1 in 10 persons is a victim of crime. And then the second sentence, I left as is. Now, when you do this thing, we call this sentence variation. So it makes your reading a little bit interesting. It makes your sentence constructions different. And it keeps the reader interested, where you incorporate the source of information into the way in which you building your sentence. So any comments or questions or anything that you'd like me to show you again? Oh, thanks for that note, John. So I see Mr. Abrams is here again. So thank you. And he's just letting us know that. Do you maybe just want to say what you've typed there, John?
Yes. Thank you, Len. I didn't mean to interrupt your class.
No, it's fine.
I just wanted to. Thank you. I just wanted to bring to students' attention that we are experiencing delays with the hosting of the recorded session. So we will host it as soon as possible, and once done, we will post. We will make sure that students are notified about it.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I just confirm with you? This session was recorded, eh? Because when I came in earlier,
Yes.
it was recorded. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, it is being recorded. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to leave you again, eh? Thank you so much.
Okay, John. Take care. Enjoy the evening. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay. So that was John Abrams explaining that the delay for the recordings being uploaded. So you will see that I think it's Saturday's recording is not uploaded yet, and yesterday's one hasn't been uploaded yet. So we're just having a problem. However, I want to say that I am a bit concerned about it because you will want to be watching this because these are assignment preparation sessions. But you may want to go and watch this before the exam again. Just on that note, Setu and Amber, have you received notification of when you're writing your exam yet? Have you received any timetable of any sort?
When I checked on our my UNISA, it showed sometime in October. I think the 10th or that week of October.
Okay. Setu, did you see anything similar, different?
It's similar as Amber's because I was on the site and then they didn't say the actual date of the exam.
It just said
October, November.
October, November.
Somewhere there,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. All right. All right. So we've come to the end of the session today on introductions and conclusions and everything in between. Our next workshop is going to be tomorrow. And I would appreciate it. I mean, the two of you are here. So you tell me what you would like me to talk about tomorrow. Do you think, in your view, do you think we need to do another session tomorrow? Amber and Setu? Okay, Amber saying, I think everything I want to know has been covered. Okay, Setu, you want to say?
I was going to say I've got everything covered for this assignment. Everything that I needed to know is on my notebook, so I'm good.
Okay, all right. So in your view, do you think we should? Yeah, I think we're good. You good for tomorrow? Okay, we're good for tomorrow. No, the reason I'm asking is that I'm happy to have a session tomorrow, but if you're feeling like I have covered everything, then we don't have to have a session tomorrow, because I realize people are probably wanting to write, and my plan is it's supposed to be at 6 o'clock tomorrow. So but now I'm thinking I will have a session tomorrow, because if the sessions are not available to watch, then we have a problem. So okay, all right, I think I've just sorted my own problem out. Okay, Amber and Setu, we're going to end a little early So I'm going to post the feedback form in the chat, and I've done so now. So Maya, can I also ask you to please tell me in the meeting chat one thing that you are taking away from today's session. Just one thing in the chat. I mean, if you were to bump into someone who you knew was registered for this module and they're obviously not here today, what is the thing that you would say to them that they missed?
Well, for me, it would be something that stood out for me would be the river structure, as well as using signpost words and translation words. That was very helpful for me, and also on how to begin your introduction in terms of narrowing it down to start with bold bold main ideas. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, and as well as introduction, it was very, very informative for me. And also, I didn't know you can actually like predict and suggest on your conclusion. I was not aware of that, so it was very helpful.
Okay, great. Thanks, Setu. Excellent. Amber, you were saying, okay, stick to the main points of it and go into detail, but don't go off the topic. Yes, good one. Yeah. So yes, go into detail, but stay on the topic. So in other words, keep in the river. You know that expression, stay in your lane? That's where you've got to stay. Okay. And so when you get to, if you're still writing on Thursday, and you get to the point of, now what else can I be saying? Step away from it and go back in an hour's time, or maybe 2 hours time, or 3 hours time, and say, okay, read every single sentence that you've got and ask yourself, is this relevant to the main idea? Is this relevant to the main idea? Is this relevant to the main idea? Every single sentence, you do that, and be ruthless. It's one of the most difficult things as an academic writer, is to be ruthless, is to prune, is to delete your sentences that you've spent hours putting together. You become very protective and very fond of the words that you've put down in writing. I know. And then suddenly you realize, but this has nothing to do with what I'm supposed to be writing about. And then you have to go delete. And so that is why I'm that kind of person that I save every single draft. Yes, Amber?
I see when they on the page of the our assignment information, it says find at least 5 academic valid sources. Is it a must for us to have 5?
Well, it says at least. Okay. So that means the minimum.
Okay.
I know.
Okay.
You're probably thinking 3 negative effects and they want 5 sources of information.
Yeah,
really?
it's because I found like with my with the first 2 effects, it's like only the 2 sources in between. So but
I know the
then
challenge.
I found extra sources.
So you look, some of them might say the same thing, and that's okay. So it's important that you give them what they ask for in this assignment, because one of the things that you're being assessed on is following instructions. Okay, and it's important that you cite those sources of information in text. So don't just, because it's easy to pick up whether you are whether you just dumped references in your reference list, but you actually don't cite them in text. And so it's important that you, yeah, I know it's a challenge, but it can be done. All right. Okay, we've come to the end of the session, and we have ended a little early, but I think it's because, there were no hitches, and there's just 2 of you here today. So it's fine if we end a little early. So I think I'll say good night to both of you, and enjoy the rest of the evening. Happy writing, Sesethu. You've got lots to do. You said you haven't started writing yet, but I think you already have a skeleton. You must actually just add the flesh to it. And Amber, it sounds like you are, at the editing and proofreading stage. So it's not easy where you're at either, but good luck to both of you. And if you can make tomorrow night's session, then I look forward to seeing you both there. Good night and enjoy the evening.